So Laura Carmichael, star of Downton Abbey, Edith got her happy ending, but you can't have thought when it started 6 seasons ago that that was going to be the finale. Could you? Not in your wildest dreams.
No, no, not at all. It was a surprise. Even in the last few seasons, I don't think I would have predicted it. So going into the final season, it was I didn't know. I didn't know how it was all going to wrap up until sort of halfway through. And there'd been hints, producers had been hinting that it would be a good ending for Edith. But in terms of the fanfare that it then was, I could never have predicted it.
And I talked to Julian Fellows the other day, who could have predicted it since he wrote all the scripts. But I said he pulled a bit of a cruel trick, at least on the viewers in your native England, in that there was that cliffhanger in sort of mid-November, and people had to wait till Christmas Day to find out whether Edith would be happy at last. How did you, Laura Carmichael, deal with that in those intervening 6 weeks? I mean, were people constantly stopping you, haranguing you, begging you?
Oh, yes, they were. I guess there was an expectation that Julian hopefully wouldn't leave everyone heartbroken on Christmas Day. Although that is the episode where Matthew died in a car crash. That aired on Christmas Day in England. So he'd done that before in the UK, left people heartbroken over their Christmas dinner. But I think there was a hope in that sort of in the gap. But yeah, there was a lot of questions of how will it end, and if Julian doesn't give you the happy ending, we'll be devastated. So yeah, there was that anticipation. But I have to say, I liked the way that the season, as we would call it, ended with Mary's wedding, and there was just this moment. It was just a shot at the wedding of Edith watching the children playing in the churchyard, and I think that was just sort of a moment of going, she's actually okay. She was even in this heartbreak, and you want so much for her to have the romantic ending. The thing that I think people ended up loving about Edith was her sort of her strength and her ability to sort of plough on as this career woman and mother, and those things were very important, and that she would carry on despite the knocks that she had.
Well, and what's interesting, if we go back to the beginning, I mean, you're recently out of drama school when there's this casting call. And at that time, I mean, as for a young woman to take the role of Edith, I mean, it's I'm not going to say one note back in series 1, but it certainly was. I mean, I think even your mother characterized her as, oh yes, she is the bitch, isn't she? I mean, your mother took longer to come to that realization than
That's right. Yeah, I think my mum didn't. When I said, "Oh, she's not the nicest of characters," it took maybe 4 episodes of my mum going, "I don't know. I think she's just a bit misunderstood." And then she wrote to the Turkish embassy and went, "Oh no, she's a bitch." So that was my mum's reaction. But I always found her really interesting, I have to say, Edith. I sort of saw in those moments of frostiness with Mary and all of that sort of bickering, that there was someone who felt very overlooked and very left out of a lot of what was going on for her sisters in the family. And that all of that sort of spikiness was a reaction to not really being sort of comfortable in her own skin yet. And I think that's what's been amazing over the series, is that Julian has shown these girls grow up and find jobs and purpose and other things that sort of help them sort of figure out who they are, and they're not just these commodities to be married off, which obviously wasn't really in Edith's fate for the first season.
Yeah, you're right. She got abandoned at the altar. But but when it's so, you yourself, I've got to point this out. You said, I didn't do this on purpose, but
I didn't. This is a mug that Hugh Bonneville gave us as a wrap gift. And it says, with love and thanks for 6 memorable years, HB. And also it says, I may be a mug, but I did all 52 episodes of Downton Abbey. So that was our wrap from Hugh.
And what the staggering achievement, of course, the Julian Fellows wrote each and every one of those episodes. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. Yeah. So you yourself, one of 3 sisters, where are you in the Carmichael family?
I am the middle. Oh. I am the middle sister. Amy is my elder sister and Olivia is my younger sister. And we're similarly we're 2 years apart, which is sort of the same age difference between Edith and Mary and Sybil. So yeah, it's a very similar setup, but we are the best of friends. That's the difference. And Michelle's one of 3 and Jessica is one of 2 sisters. Oh. I definitely think there was something when we started that we all came with this bond, you know, very quickly we were able to get into the headspace of 3 sisters. But yeah, having said that, we're very, very different. The Carmichaels get on very well.
and you're on screen. I know you're very close to Michelle. Yeah. So I just gave you the news that you're actually both being submitted in the lead category. Isn't that something that Edith, who was sort of a featured character in those first couple of seasons, how the evolution of her, and now that you really were the centerpiece of the 6th season. As an actress, I mean, what did that mean to you to be kind of given the through storyline in season 6?
Oh, well, I'm delighted, you know, I'm so overwhelmed by it, really. I still can't quite believe that it happened that way. Because, yeah, I really, it was my first TV job and I was so happy to be part of this show in any way. And the fact that Edith did grow, you know, into such an interesting character and, as you say, a larger part of the series is wonderful. We're very, very lucky and very, very grateful to Julian and to Gareth Nee, my exec, and Liz Troubridge and Chris Croucher and Nigel Marchant, our amazing producers, because, you know, they really have guided this whole story arc. And the fact that they were able to trust me with this character and the many beautiful storylines that, you know, littered the different seasons. I'm so happy and so delighted that they were you know, sort of handing over the happy ending to Edith in the final episode.
But I think with Edith, I mean, it's wonderful that she marries Bertie, and it's so delicious that now her rank is above that of even her father's. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she, I think, would have been content if things hadn't gone that way. Don't you? What do you think?
I completely agree. I think that's another layer to sort of Julian's gem, you know, of this storyline, that he's given her so many different strings, you know, with her career, with her magazine, you know, she has found true happiness and fulfillment there. And then she meets a man who, when she meets him, has no idea of his potential rank, which happens to him later. You know, he just adores Edith and finds her interesting, and she finds him interesting. And I think so. It just continues to get better and better, really. You know, so that when it finally happens, all of the excess and the pomp and the status that comes with Bertie's new role, new title, is sort of this wild dream, like happy ending. And I think together they will be a very interesting pair in that position, I think, because, I think they have been part of a different world, in a way, of being part of the London society, and Bertie as the agent. I think it will mean that they are very, you can see them being very fair and very smart in their roles there.
So, Laura, the Emmy nominations come out a couple of days before your birthday in mid-July. And one thing that they ask of you, and it's a tough Hobson's choice, is to to pick one episode that you think represents the best of your work in season 6. At this point, do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I guess probably the big turning point in the season is the second to last episode, where Mary reveals to Bertie that Marigold is Edith's child, and he leaves her, and then Mary and Edith have the row of the century. So I guess, and that episode then also ends with them coming together for Mary's wedding. It was, I think, my favourite episode to film because it just had so many brilliant scenes, and I think everyone had been waiting for Edith and Mary to have that row. So we really enjoyed filming it. It felt like a seminal moment for the two girls.
Now, one thing I know, I've spoken to a couple of the downstairs people, and the women, they might envy you your hair and costumes, but I don't think they envy you the start time. I mean, isn't it hours in makeup and costuming before the film starts?
Yeah, it is hours. I mean, and I'm always, we are sat there, often asleep or on the phone, reading a book, whereas our amazing makeup artists are getting ready from 4:30 so that you're in the chair at 5 o'clock. They really are amazing. And then they work for 3 hours before you film anything, and then they are there watching every shot, checking every hair is in place. So it really is the most incredible effort on their part, but it's a lot of work. And when there are things like weddings or these big events, we have meetings about how the hair will look, and we did, I think, 3 different hair tests, which will take between 3 to 4 hours, where we try different styles and try different ornament sort of hair decorations, and the wedding dress probably again another 4 or 5 fittings, because it's just so much of part of the show. I think the enjoyment of watching a show like Downton, I think, comes so much from the design and the incredible look of these scenes. So.
And how much does that, as an actor, inform you and your character? I mean, the constriction of the costume or the precision of the hairstyle, does that help you?
Absolutely. I think you're conscious of how they would have started their day with these dresses and with these hairstyles. And actually, as the years have gone on, they've all gotten a bit more relaxed. And Edith certainly wears clothes now that she can dress herself in, which she doesn't need a maid. So you'll see her in London in the office wearing simple blouses and slightly more masculine tailoring as well, which is something that Hannah Robbins and I spoke a lot about, our costume designer. But when she's in the office, she's wearing little waistcoats and ties, and I love all of that. I think it's so part of the storytelling, not only thinking of what your character would have thought of that morning when they get dressed, which is so important, but also to just add another layer to what we're telling the audience about this moment for Edith, for example. And
then the costumes, the hair, but then also they're not sets. I mean, you're filming in a real castle. I mean, that again must just go to, there's a certain, putting you in that environment as an actor must really help.
It really does. It's a complete gift to shoot on location, and we've been in some incredible locations, and Brancaster is Alnwick Castle as well as Highclere Castle this year. So we've been to some phenomenal places, and yes, you do completely get the feeling when you walk into those rooms of the history of a place like that.
And then you've also had some phenomenal either guest stars like Shirley MacLaine, but I have to ask you about Edith's relationship with her granny, Violet, and then Laura's relationship with Maggie Smith. As I said, Julian Fellows, when we spoke the other day, sort of apologized for ruining Maggie Smith's life, because this show is such a worldwide phenomenon that this two-time Oscar winner, who could sort of go about her day-to-day life before, go to the waitresses or whatever, now is besieged by people. So when you started, I mean, what was that like? Can you remember that first scene with Maggie Smith?
I can, very clearly. You know, I think we all are, but I was a very big fan, and so many of her films are so part of my childhood. And so I think, you know, we were all coming with this, you know, complete fans, but quite, you know, nervous to be part of the show with her. But she was immediately so warm and kind. I mean, particularly with the three of us, the girls, she really wanted from the get-go. She was Granny, and she was doing impressions for us and walking with her cane like she was a very old lady, you know, and saying, "You're going to have to help poor Granny now." You know, she was really up for it, and really, really wanted to make us feel at ease. And I just remember those first few weeks of getting to know one another and just being amazed at how generous she was with her time and her stories, and I mean, telling stories about Noel Coward, you know, and I remember nervously sat there listening to her and Penelope talk about hay fever with Edith Evans, you know, one of our great theatrical legends, and I sort of wanted to chip in. I went, "Oh, we did hay fever at when I was at drama school," and I just remember Penelope and Maggie turning around, and they were just beaming. They were so keen to involve me. You know, what did I know about Noel Coward in comparison to these girls? But they were just so kind, and I think really showed us how to do it. I think that's the thing I feel most grateful for about this show, is that I was in the company of the most extraordinary actors who were kind and generous and brilliant, and hopefully that will, you know, inform the way I work forever, because I admire them so much.
Well, right now in early May, you're in a production of Genet's The Maids with a multi-Emmy winner, Uzo Aduba, and that's a wonderful piece. It's so you could, I mean, you were searching for things so different from Edith and Downton.
I mean, well, yes. I mean, it wasn't at all a kind of conscious effort to get rid of the Downton image or anything. It was just that it came around, you know. And Jamie Lloyd, who's a very brilliant director who works here in London a great deal, came to me with the project with Uzo already attached, and Zawe Ashton, who's a brilliant actress here, and it's been great. And you know, we've set it in America, and working with Uzo on this project has been a real gift. And Zawe also, it's a really it's a sort of all-out production. It's very stylized, and yeah, it's been terrific to work with her. And
yeah, this is the adaptation. I think that Cate Blanchett and Isabelle Huppert played the maids, and Elizabeth Debicki, who's in The Night Manager, played your part, the mistress that the maids want to murder, as I recall.
That's right.